When it comes to war, it's all about sinking money, ballooning budgets, and huge expenses. So if any country wants to be the one to start a war, the first requirement is that you have to be rich, period. The same goes for trade wars. And the trade war that's happening right now is making the whole world nervous. The one and only host? That's Uncle Sam, the United States, led by President Donald Trump. But looking at all the economic numbers coming out of the United States right now, it really makes me wonder, and maybe you're curious too, whether the US is still rich enough to host a war. In this clip, I'm going to take you through the economic health of the United States by looking at their economic figures. Honestly, we don't really know what the real state of the economy is, but these are the official numbers they've released. Let's start with the figure that most clearly reflects the country's health. The GDP for the first quarter of 2025 in the United States shrank by 0.3%. Why is that? It's because right now, people in the US, the average consumers, are starting to... This has caused the private consumption figure in the United States to grow by only 0.2%. Why aren't people spending? They're not spending because import taxes are just way too high. And these import taxes are a direct result of the trade war. So when people don't spend, it leads to a sharp drop in US imports. Just in a single month, imports plunged by 19.8%. This isn't a normal number. It's rare for any country to see its imports drop by almost 20% like this. Just imagine, in a single month, let's say you're a household, a family, and suddenly in 1 month, you decide to cut your spending on groceries and other purchases by 20%. That would definitely affect your family's quality of life. And it's the same for a country. This kind of drop in imports is clearly visible at the Port of LA. Normally, the Port of LA is bustling with cargo ships coming in and docking all the time. But recently, Gene Soroka, executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, told CNN that the volume of cargo ships docking at the Port of LA has dropped by as much as 35% compared to the same period last year. This is because various companies, especially small to medium-sized businesses that used to import goods from China, simply can't place import orders anymore, no matter what. When the number of cargo ships begins to decrease, it leads to a significant drop in available containers, which translates directly into less work for everyone involved, lower overall income for the community, and a noticeable decline in the general quality of life. If you take a moment to just look at the port itself, try to imagine the thousands of dedicated people who have to work there every single day just to make a decent living and provide essential support for their families. If this downward trend continues to persist over the long term, when work decreases and income drops, these people still need to eat and spend, right? After losing their jobs, they go to the supermarket to buy things and find that the usual food and household items they used to buy have become more expensive. That means these people are getting hit twice. And if you ask, honestly, for imports to drop by almost 20% in just 1 month, it might seem like a good way to save money, right? It looks like America is spending less, just like what Donald Trump wanted, making the deficit shrink quickly. But the question is this method of reducing the deficit or the government budget shortfall getting smaller this fast actually healthy? We need to take a closer look here. If we dig a little deeper, what's really happening is that imports are dropping because domestic consumption has decreased. So if you want to know how much this affects the U.S. economy, let's take a look at the numbers for the U.S. GDP. The GDP of the United States in a year is about $28 trillion. Out of that $28 trillion, a huge portion of the GDP comes from consumption, whether it's the consumption of goods or services. Altogether, that's about $19 trillion. That $19 trillion, if you look at it as a proportion of GDP, means that consumption accounts for almost 68% of the US GDP. So if the consumption sector, or that 68% of GDP, takes a hit and suffers damage, it affects the entire economic system. That's why it's no surprise that this lines up with the first quarter GDP of 2023, which dropped by 0.3%. And the GDP contraction of 0.3% in the first quarter of 2025 is actually the first decline in 3 years. According to the Time website, the numbers show that as a result of Donald Trump's trade protectionist tariffs, the average American family will face an increased expense of about $2,300 per year, or roughly 75,000 baht per family per year if converted to Thai currency. This is a risk for the United States. It reflects the economic health of the country, which is clearly not looking so good. Even the IMF has revised its forecast for U.S. GDP growth, which wasn't high to begin with, and lowered it even further. Goldman Sachs has also increased its prediction of the likelihood of a recession in the U.S. by 10%, all because of the ongoing trade war. Okay, so the U.S. has raised import tariffs. These tariffs block foreign goods from entering the country, making it so that consumers just don't have the purchasing power to buy things that are getting more expensive. If you think it's bad that consumers can't afford to buy, it actually gets even worse in the US. When consumers can't buy, right? Then the companies and retailers who import goods also can't afford to import like before. They're hit by the tariffs too. This means that the companies' costs go up as well. As a result, there are more than 4,100 factories in the United States, factories that rely on imports, mainly from China, to sell in the US. Over 4,100 of them are now facing the prospect of having to lay off employees, a new wave of mass layoffs, you could say. They'll have to let a lot of people go just to cut costs, and this has led to even deeper divisions. This has hit the US manufacturing sector hard. Right now, the number of people registering as unemployed to receive government benefits has gone up. It used to be around 14,000 people, but now it's increased to 240,000 people per month. This is the figure as of the end of May 2025. The U.S. Department of Labor expects that in June 2025, even more people will register. The number of people registering as unemployed to receive benefits is expected to rise to 226,000. This figure is comparable to the numbers during the COVID crisis. Back then, about 200,000 to 250,000 people were registering. Unemployment is a fundamental economic indicator. If we look at the U.S. unemployment rate since the beginning of 2025, which is when Donald Trump took office, and launched itself as the host of the global trade war, we can see that the unemployment rate in the United States, starting from early 2025, has been steadily rising. This unemployment figure is a crucial indicator. Whatever the leaders are doing, the reality is that people are out of work. It's become a key statistic that shows the state of the United States. You really can't claim or say with confidence that this trade war was the right decision or that it was a victory. You just can't say it's a win. How could it be when people in the country are losing their jobs? Ever since the trade war started, it's exposed a major weakness in the U.S. economy, a sore spot that, if you poke it, really hurts. That's the manufacturing sector, or anything related to the import tariffs that Donald Trump announced. This situation has even led the IMF to revise its forecast for U.S. economic growth downward. It was already low to begin with, but now it's even lower. You can see it from this graph. The last two blue bars, see? The original forecast, shown by the yellow line, was 3.5%, but the new forecast, the yellow line, is cut down to just the height of the blue bar. The new forecast for U.S. GDP growth won't even reach 3% anymore. And when you look at it like this, yeah. Actually, the IMF has predicted that this year, not many countries around the world will see any real growth. Let me show you this map, the IMF's forecast for the whole world. If you look at the map, any area that's pale in color means there's no growth, but the more orange it gets, the more growth there is. If you zoom in on the United States, it's really pale. Honestly, it's lucky if it's not negative. And because of this, Goldman Sachs has predicted that the U.S. has a chance of going into a recession or an economic downturn. It's pulling back, and we don't even know if there will be a soft landing. The chances have gone up. Back in March 2025, Goldman Sachs predicted that the US had a 35% chance of going into a recession, but just a few days later, not even a full month, by April, Goldman Sachs updated their forecast and said the chance of a US recession had risen from 35% to 45%. Now, some people might think things are actually going pretty well, right? Because the US and China have already started talking. They've paused the trade tariffs and other trade barriers. The US reduced import tariffs on China from 45% down to 30%, and China also lowered import tariffs on the US from 25% to 10%. It seems like things are easing up and everyone can breathe a little easier. But it's just a pause, it's not a cancellation. No one really knows if this 90-day pause is so they can prepare for negotiations and try to reach a truce, or if they're pausing just to stock up on more ammunition, for real. Even Janet Yellen, the US Secretary of the Treasury, came out and said herself that, honestly, nobody really wants to decouple. Nobody wants to split up. Nobody wants to break things off. But the damage that's already been done, it's happened, and it's going to keep going. And when they announced the pause, right, the US stock market and all that shot up immediately. It surged, but it wasn't the kind of rally that would make investors feel at ease. Even Bank of America came out and said that this spike is actually a selling point, not a buying opportunity. So if you ask whether the US, which started this trade war, is hurting, they are. And is China hurting? Yes, China is hurting too. They haven't been able to handle it that well. China relies on being the world's factory and depends heavily on exports, right? And you can't deny that the United States is still the biggest market in the world. When China manufactures goods for export, of course they want to sell to a market with strong purchasing power, right? Where else are they going to find a market with as much buying power as the US? There just isn't one. And if China says they'll reroute, stop exporting to the US and just sell domestically in China, the prices they can get won't be as high as selling to the US. That's what's going to happen. So what happens to China? It'll just lead to deflation, and China is already experiencing deflation. Could it get even worse? Sure, it could. But as for the US, Donald Trump said that the whole point of starting this trade war and all these measures was to make America great again. But honestly, I don't know if it's actually going to be great again or when that might happen. What's clear is that in the short term, nobody's great. Everyone's been hit hard. So to sum up the overall US economy in a nutshell, imports have plunged by almost 20% in just 1 month. The GDP for the first quarter of 2025 contracted by 0.3%. Unemployment rates have been rising steadily since the beginning of 2025. More people are registering for unemployment benefits, which means increased government spending. If prices go up, people simply can't afford to buy as much as before, causing widespread economic pain. And next, people are losing their jobs. For the United States itself, this also reduces its competitiveness in the global market, making it harder to compete with others. So the same question comes up again. The United States, as the one who started this trade war, if the more they fight, the more they hurt, and the more they fight, the poorer they get, I really want to know, in the end, will they give in? Will they agree to stop? Or will they choose to make peace with China?